Hey everybody, it's Jasper Smith, aka Mr. Bill Wealth, and we're here today to talk about how to repair your credit. So there's a couple things we can do. So you may have heard this thing called the debt snowball technique. And so let's say you have 3 different debts that you're paying on. So the idea behind the debt snowball technique is that once that first debt is paid off, you essentially take the first payment and now you add it onto debt number 2. So essentially you have 2 payments that you're making onto debt number 2, and then that one gets missing. So number 1 got gone, you add the payment on top of number 2 gets missing, and now you focus on debt number 3. So then you take payments from 1 and 2, you stack those up, so you're essentially making 3 payments on the debt, and before you know it, your debt is gone. The debt snowball technique is a great strategy just because it makes you feel better. Like literally, if you have 3 debts and you knock out 1, you're gonna feel empowered and encouraged, and you're gonna be ready to attack the other 2. And then when you get the other one knocked out, you see how this thing snowballs? So the next strategy we're going to talk about is the debt avalanche. So the debt avalanche is literally looking at your list of debts, depending on how many you have, and focusing on the one that has the highest interest rate. So again, mathematically, the longer you have this debt outstanding, the more in interest that you're paying. So if you focus on the debt with the highest interest rate and try to get rid of that one, then that's gonna save you more money in the long run. You could also look at maybe considering, and this is of course if your credit is decent, getting a balance transfer credit card. And so what happens is these balance transfer cards will have an introductory period where you don't make any interest payments. So if you had $5,000 on one card with the high interest rate, maybe you can transfer that over or do the balance transfer to another card. And so for this maybe 12 or 13 months, you don't owe any interest, so you're just paying what you actually owe. Let's say you've had credit for a little while and it's pretty messed up. There are a couple things you want to think about doing as you attack your credit. There's settling, and then there's disputing. So settling means you didn't pay back a debt, and now there's somebody coming after you to collect the money. Now, settling is sometimes a good thing to do because maybe you just can't afford to pay back the entire balance that you owe. So the creditor may say, you know what, how about you pay 50 or 60% of the balance, and then we'll wipe that debt away. The next strategy is called disputing. One thing you need to learn or know about credit is that there's a lot of bad information that sometimes get reported about you, myself included. The biggest errors that you sometimes may find on your credit report could be a misspelled name, an incorrect address, or a bad phone number. So you can dispute those things on your credit report to make sure they're cleaned off. And what happens is each one of the credit bureaus has to do an investigation. They have about 30 to 45 days to make a decision because what they're trying to do is to verify that you owe the debt. And again, if it wasn't your debt, then what they'll do is they will delete that from your credit report. So let's say you've tried one of these strategies to address your debt. Give it about six months, maybe to a year to really see a huge improvement. Literally, you need time when it comes to repairing or fixing your credit. So now we've talked about a couple different strategies on how to get a handle on your debt and work on the rebuilding process. And again, if you're not sure about where to get started, just hit me up on Instagram and I'll let you know. And as always, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button.